How big of a deal would this be?
It would be very, very significant. There is no doubt about that. It certainly wouldn't be a downgrade. I'm not going to go as far as to say that you can guarantee that they'll win the NFC. I'm not going to get beside myself. The Philadelphia Eagles are the team to be reckoned with, particularly with A.J. Brown looking like that dude. They can run the ball. They can pass block. They can run block. They got receivers. They've got running backs. They've got a tight end in Goddard. They've got a defense. The Philadelphia Eagles, would not move me from thinking that they are my favorites, particularly with the pickup of Quinn. But at the end of the day, when you take into account the fact that Odell Beckham Jr., an absolute game changer when healthy, if he were to end up in Dallas, I think it would improve their chances. I think it would give them a significant boost. This is the 25th ranked offense, passing offense in the National Football League. We know that CeeDee Lamb is the number one, but he's still trying to matriculate into that position right there. He's dropped a few passes. We look at him and we say we know the potential is there for him to be the number one, but we don't know for sure if he's legitimately, validly that dude as of yet. Odell Beckham Jr. is a guy that I believed would have been the Super Bowl MVP if he had not gotten hurt. You saw with a couple of passes he caught, he was about to wreak havoc on the Cincinnati Bengals in that Super Bowl. Odell Beckham Jr. is a game changer. He obviously extends the field. You take those things into consideration with Pollard running the football the way that he's been running the football, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott being back, Schultz being back. You got a couple of other weapons as well. I definitely think that Odell Beckham Jr. would significantly upgrade Dallas's passing game, and we know their defense is real. That's how I look at it.
Oh, my gosh. Take it easy. He's not Drew Pearson. First off, he's coming off a major injury. So, and that was in February.
We're assuming help.
February.
I know, but we're assuming help.
He's coming off an ACL. So
we're just saying we're assuming help, dog.
But you can't assume it with an ACL.
I'm just saying.
That you just wrote down
if
ACL.
he's back on the field, we're assuming.
You are so strange with your notes.
If he's back on the field, we're assuming. I'm just saying, take health aside. Because obviously, if he's not healthy, that's a different ballgame. But healthy Odell Beckham Jr., really?
They're still not. I'll tell you who's the second best. I'll tell you who's the best team in the NFC if they get themselves organized. San Francisco.
Oh.
With McCaffrey, Samuel,
I'm on McCaffrey.
Kittle. The quarterbacks played well.
Okay.
Trent Williams, obviously a good defense. I love the Niners. And again, here's the issue you have with Dallas. We had it 1,000 times. Do you guys really believe in Prescott winning road playoff games?
This was your Super Bowl pick. What's happening right now?
Well,
I thought you would be all about this.
That's right. That's a good point. You know what? It's a great job. Go Dallas.
Right?
No, I forgot.
We all laughed at you.
And I had the
you
Colts.
look like a genius.
And I had the Colts, which is the
Okay,
worst pick of all time.
I'm kind of upset with you right now, but go ahead. Go ahead.
I forgot. I had Dallas.
To listen.
Yeah, I understand
you
that.
do all the talking,
you want to set him up. You want to set him up. You rescued him. You rescued him because I was going to get him on that
That's
point.
a good point. Thank you very much, Mama. She's my fan.
Yeah, that's what it is. We understand what this is. We understand what this is. She looked out for you, but go ahead.
You're looking to cause trouble.
A couple more days.
Nice job.
I was looking
But the bottom line about Dallas, let's take the Super Bowl pick aside.
Okay.
Can we do that? Because his Super Bowl pick ain't that great either. He had Tampa.
Well, let me guess.
It was
Tampa.
Tampa ain't going to the Super Bowl.
He probably
so
picked the same two teams that played
You're out. You're getting on me. Your pick stunk too. What are you talking about?
No.
You went Tampa.
Who was your pick? Tampa and the Chargers?
Tampa and the Bills.
No, Chargers, right?
No.
Oh, is it
Bills.
Of
He had Buffalo. He's got a chance with Buffalo. And I do have a chance with Dallas. But I do think that with Prescott, the fact they're going to be not going to be obviously a situation where they're going to be the 1 or 2 seed. They're not going to have a home playoff game, which means chances are Dallas is going to have to win 3 road games to get to a Super Bowl because they're going to be a 5th seed. Yeah. So you got Minnesota, Kirk Cousins. You have Philadelphia, you have Minnesota, and then you have the other 2 divisional winners, which tough. Obviously Tampa maybe. And so I just don't think that Dallas is going to be able to navigate all those road games with a quarterback who's never won a road playoff game. I don't think they're going to be able to do that to get to a Super Bowl. Does Beckham help him a little bit? If he's healthy, I'm not going to be dumb about it. Of course, he's a heck of a player. And I think he'd go there all pumped up. They'd be happy to have him. Yeah. But to sit there and say significantly, they're in the playoffs anyway. Right? They're a playoff team. Significantly means that they are a Super Bowl threat. So when Stephen A. says significantly, that means they could beat the Eagles or beat San Francisco or beat anybody else without being at home. And I don't think Beckham allows them to do that. So I think it makes them moderately better, not enough better to get to Phoenix at the end of the year.
Stop being so literal. First of all, once you make the playoffs, most of the time you have a chance, okay? That's number one. Number two, when we dissect the Dallas Cowboys, what we're going to look at what their deficiency is. Ezekiel Elliott isn't 100% and is not running like it, but Tony Pollard coming out of the backfield has been running the football effectively. Okay, we look at the multitude of weapons, the Noah Browns, the CeeDee Lambs, the Schultz, and others, and we say, okay, with Dak Prescott back, they can pass the football, but they are the 25th ranked passing attack. You get Odell Beckham Jr., you've got somebody to spread the field, to extend the field, okay? So obviously, if you got to worry about him going deep, then all of a sudden that opens things up for CeeDee Lamb. It certainly opens things up for Schultz, because Dak Prescott is a guy that will utilize his tight ends effectively. We all know that about him. Actually, that's what he prefers. And so you got to take that into consideration as well. What I'm saying is, in the end, certainly we can look at Philadelphia and San Francisco. Those are the two teams that I would put ahead of the Dallas Cowboys. The fact is the Dallas Cowboys are alive as a top 3 threat in the NFC. And the reality is that when we think about the teams they potentially may go up against, those are the two teams that we think that they would have to go through that would be standing in their way. You got a much better chance of beating them with Odell Beckham Jr. than without him.
It's a little strong. And by the way,
not a little strong.
How about Hawkinson with the Minnesota? What are you just going to eliminate the Vikings?
I'm not eliminating
the Vikings are going to be the
two. Like the Vikings.
Oh, he can't stand the Vikings.
He's mad that Kirk did the dance.
You know
He's mad about the dance.
I'm not mad that he did the dance.
He's mad about the chain.
Oh, he is. He's mad about the dance. I didn't
Molly
realize
is
that.
putting words into my mouth, and she is misrepresenting my position.
He thought it was
that
corny.
is fine to do when I am out with COVID. It is not fine to do when I'm sitting right next to her. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.